Hi, I'm Jackie McLaughlin, the Director of the Pre-Health Programs at Penn. This information session is designed to give you some insight into the life of our pre-health post-baccalaureate students. You will get an overview of our curriculum and even an opportunity to ask questions of a student representative during our live Q&A session. Many prospective students wonder what we're looking for in a pre-health student. There are some common characteristics we see across our core and specialized students at Penn. All are intellectually curious, goal-oriented, and willing to work hard. We also look for students with a service orientation, leadership potential, and compassion for others. If this describes you, we invite you to stay tuned and take a closer look. Well, our program is unique in that we have flexibility for students to do this program in a variety of ways. The majority of our courses are offered in the evening. Students may do that on a full-time basis or a part-time basis, but any student that's accepted into our program is eligible to take classes, a comparable class during the day. The majority of the courses that will meet requirements for the core certificate or the specialized certificate are science courses. Those courses may be chemistry, biology, physics, and we have a wide variety of neuroscience courses that meet those requirements as well. But students may stay and take additional courses if they like. So we have a wide range of undergraduate science courses. We can also weave in math requirements or social science requirements for students who need those as well. So for the specialized studies student who is taking HCUs, they can do that within 1 year, within 2 semesters, a fall term and a spring term, taking 4 courses each semester. If they choose to go part-time, they can spread that out over 2 years, over 5 sequential semesters, taking 2 courses a semester if they happen to be working full-time or part-time. It really will take about 2 years for a core student to complete the program. Core students have the option of starting in the summer or they might start in the fall term. If they are going full-time, they might complete the majority of the requirements in 1 full year, yet there still will be additional requirements they might need if they're applying to medical school. For example, biochemistry being the one that really stands out. So in that situation, it really makes sense, and what we're advocating now for most of our core students is that they're really looking at a 2-year time frame. Starting in the fall makes a lot of sense. The pace is very nice, and a core student is able to weave in the experiences that they need to have in research or in clinical exposure, which really makes them a much stronger candidate when it comes to application. I think our admissions process is very detailed and very careful. And one of the things that we're looking for is offering admissions to students that we think are going to be successful in this program. But part of that success is also engaging with the faculty and engaging with the advising team early on and continuing to come in and meet with advisors so that we can all work together as a team to make sure that students are reaching their goals and staying on track. An advisor plays many different roles. An advisor can help with career counseling, with academic advising, helping with selection of courses, but can also be a confidant and a counselor as well when a student needs some additional help outside of the school environment. For the student who might have done some basic general chemistry or maybe some intro bio, but needs to do additional core prerequisite courses, we're the perfect place for them because they can come in and fill in those core requirements that they need, and then take additional advanced science courses as well. So they're a very good fit. We do consultation with students initially to find out where they fit. Should they consider themselves a core student or should they consider themselves a specialized student? So if someone is unsure at the time of application, just submit your application and we will work with you to sort that out. What we look for in the core applicant is someone who has a great academic track record, who has the motivation, and is willing to work hard. You have to have an understanding of yourself and why you want to go in this direction. But that's exactly what a core program is for the person who studied, another subject area and now decides that they are ready at this point in their life to move in another direction and study, a different content matter. So we are perfectly designed for that. The specialized studies are really an interesting group. They're here for a variety of reasons. Some of them are trying to improve their academic record for a variety of reasons. They may not have achieved the academic goals that they wanted to during their undergraduate career. And others just want to strengthen what they already have. They may have a wonderful academic record and they just need a little bit more time, a few more advanced courses, maybe some more experience to make themselves a stronger candidate. We'll see students who come into the program thinking they might want to go into medicine and decide throughout their growth and learning and experience that maybe it's not the best choice for them. So we have a fair number of students who might choose to do physician assistant program. We've had a few who have decided during a discernment process while they're here that they're interested in physical therapy. I've had students decide they're interested in public health. And I've also had students who are interested in nutrition careers. So we will work with the students for whatever health profession, if you're here, whatever health profession might really draw your attention or your interest and help you to get there. Well, Penn really has the most flexibility. We are a large program. We have a variety of students in the student body, so there's diversity in the student body. We have people with no science experience and people who are very experienced in science, all working together. We also have an opportunity to leverage a lot of research training and clinical training opportunities for students, and we continue to put more of those in place each year. So it's something, the Penn experience is something that you're not going to be able to get elsewhere.
The new MCAT 2015 was administered for the first time last spring. I encourage you to visit the AAMC website for information updates. This new exam is designed with questions intended to cross scientific disciplines and encourage students to solve problems, like scientists. The test is divided into the following 4 sections: biological and biochemical foundations of living systems, chemical and physical foundations of biological systems, psychological, social, and biological foundations of behavior, and critical analysis and reasoning skills. Potential applicants ask if they should take the MCAT before applying to our program. No, we do not expect applicants to take the MCAT prior to enrolling, but we encourage students to take the MCAT when they're best prepared to do so. However, we will require a standardized test result as part of your application, and this can be the SAT, the ACT, or the GRE. Again, if you have MCAT questions, I urge you to visit the AAMC website for announcements and updates.
Please stay tuned for our live Q&A session starting now.
Good evening. Thank you for tuning in to the Virtual Information Center for the University of Pennsylvania Post-Baccalaureate Pre-Health Program. I'm Jackie McLaughlin, and I'm the director for the program. Joining us this evening, we have 2 current students from the program to help to answer all of your questions. Diana Zarowin is one of our core students, and we have Nick Nelson, who's a specialized student. I'm going to give each student an opportunity to tell you a little bit about why they selected Penn as a post-bac program for them, and talk maybe briefly about what they think the benefits of the program have been for them. Diana, would you like to go first?
Sure. Hi, everyone. My name is Diana. I'm a second-year core student. I'm finishing up this spring. I did my business undergrad at NYU, so vastly different career path. I think the best thing about Penn is that there are so many opportunities here, from research to working in the hospital, shadowing, the clubs that we have on campus. I actually founded a club, the Penn Future Women in Health Club. I saw something that I wanted to do, and there was an opportunity here to create that. So I think that's what makes Penn extremely special. Nick?
I am a specialized student, so that means I came in from a science background. I selected Penn because of, it's obviously impeccable reputation, and their academic program and certificate were attractive in a pre-medical, post-baccalaureate program. But moreover, what I found when I came here is that it really is the sense of community. They really, not only do they have a ton of resources directed toward pre-medicine, but they empower you with giving you access to these resources. They really connect you. So whatever your interests are, you'll find some corollary toward medicine.
Thank you. And neither one of these students came directly from undergrad. So Diana had some time between graduating from her undergraduate institution, and so did Nick. And they came in with different sets of goals and had different experiences. So hopefully throughout the course of the evening, you'll get a sense of, if you're looking at the core program or you're looking at the specialized program, exactly what that experience has been like. I'm going to start off. We have, an opportunity for you to type in your questions. Faye is fielding questions for us this evening, so hopefully we'll have an opportunity to get everyone's questions answered. Tiara starts off with a question asking about the experiences that are most relevant for the admissions committee. And while it is true, Tiara, we really do look for experiences that our students have, we take into account, whether or not you've had opportunities for experiences. And oftentimes, some of your work experiences are going to translate very well into experiences that are going to make you a good candidate for either medical school, veterinary school, or dental medicine. I just want to mention at the outset that both of these students happen to be pre-med, but we do have students in the program who are pre-dental, pre-vet. This year we have 5 students who are applying for PA school, physician assistant school, and we have 2 other students who are applying for advanced degree nursing certificates. So some students may come into the program wanting a career in medicine, and through a process of discernment realize that really they're a better fit for maybe another career direction. So we do support students all the way through that process to help find the right fit for them. It really is something that is very important to me and to students in the program. Farrakhan wants to know about core students, and can core students retake science courses previously taken as an undergrad? And the decision to repeat a course is something that you should take up with your advisor in the program. We do not like to accept students into the core program assuming that you're going to be repeating a lot of courses that you took as an undergrad. I like to see students moving forward, not just repeating coursework. So if there's a reason for a repeat, we want to talk about that in advising and make a plan initially for the students to figure out what's the best decision. Did either one of you have an opportunity where you were repeating anything?
I actually did. So in my business undergrad, we had a core, and it was required to take a science class your freshman year in the core. So I did take Gen Chem 1 as a freshman, but because I was starting 6 years after I'd graduated undergrad, it made the most sense after speaking with my advisor to retake, so it would be fresh in my mind before going into Gen Chem 2.
Right, exactly. How about you?
And as an undergrad, I never got the opportunity to take psych, which is kind of like a lower division, more of a core course. I was able to do that, and I was able to take molecular biology and genetics again, even though I had already taken the equivalent of that.
Great, good. And we have another question about the specialized studies. Does the program have help or aid for out-of-state students? So I believe that that's referring to financial aid. So the tuition for our program, whether you're a core student, whether you're a specialized student, is the same, whether you're in-state or out-of-state. there isn't a different tuition. And all of your tuition is based on the number of course units that you're taking. So if you take a minute to go to our website, and you will find that there is a tuition page there, and you can get a sense of what that tuition looks like, whether you're in-state, out-of-state, core, or specialized student, okay? Tiara wants to know what kind of area the school is located in. We are an urban school. We're an urban university. We are located in Philadelphia, in an area of Philadelphia that's known as University City. So I'm going to let Nick and Diana tell you a little bit more about the neighborhood that the school is located in.
Well, here I can get actually really excited. Philadelphia is an amazing city, and I'm saying that somewhat blasphemously as a former Californian. I'm so, there's a real sense of community within the city as well. Especially, you know, University City is a part of Philadelphia. It's a thriving college community. Lots of young professionals, lots of people, really ambitious people with really interesting backstories, and there's always, you know, events and beautiful jogging trail right across the bridge from school. Yeah, it's a great place to be.
And I actually went to college in New York, so that for me is the city. So I think coming to Philly, I love that I live really close to the campus, but then a 5-minute Uber ride and I'm right in what we call the city here, or Center City here. So I think that's a really unique balance that Penn has struck really, really well by its location.
Extremely walkable city, yeah.
Oh, absolutely. And like you said, joggable, hikeable.
And bicycleable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Got a good
Cycling is a big.
ride
A lot of
shares
students do
everywhere,
have
yeah.
bikes.
Okay. Rachel wants to know about, is there time for a part-time job or internship in addition to coursework? So again, Rachel, that is something that if you're fortunate enough to obtain an interview with the program, that you might want to bring that up initially on your interview. Some students think, well, I can continue working full-time, or I can continue working part-time and do this coursework. It really depends on what your goals are, what your needs are academically. For some students, they're able to work part-time, other students are not. We really encourage people to take it slowly in the beginning so that you can adjust to the rigor of the curriculum, and then you can always find that you can add more things afterwards. But to come in thinking you're going to be able to work full-time and do this program at the same time and excel in this program may be unrealistic for many students. Are either of you working?
Yeah, so I think what you made a really great point. So I came in and started in the summer of 2016 with Bio 1 and 2 full-time, or full-time as it was for the summer, 1 course each semester. And I did not work that first summer, and I was really grateful that I didn't, because I felt like that was a learning curve that I approached just from the angle of student. And I started working in a lab in the fall. So I already had 2 semesters under my belt. I knew Philly. I knew what the coursework was like, and I definitely think that it's a conversation you should have and take it slow in terms of starting to work. But there, of course, you can work. I would recommend part-time, probably not full-time. I think that would be a challenge, but part-time, a lot of people do, or intern, or work in a lab, or you know, volunteer.
Yeah, a lot of people do continue working when they start, but I really recommend at least feeling it out first.
Yeah.
And then, you know, there are so many opportunities here. If you want to find a new job that's more directly relevant to whatever field you want to get into, you know, it's a great way to, you know, look around and explore. And the process is pretty rapid. So if you want to find a new job, you can.
And feeling things out is definitely, I think, the way to go.
Great, thank you. Tochi wants to know if specialized students take classes with the undergrads. And that's a great question. Both of our programs are not taking classes with undergrads. So in LPS, we have our own courses that our courses are rostered in the evenings, and the core students and the specialized students are taking classes with their peers. So this is a relatively large program, And we are able to fill our classes with our pre-health students. So the core students take classes with their fellow core students, and specialized students take classes with specialized students. I'm going to turn this question to the students to see if they can give you a perspective on that, because I know many post-bac programs are structured differently. I happen to think it's a benefit for the students to be with their peers, but what do you think, Nick?
Well, I did actually have to take one undergrad course due to a scheduling conflict, and that was, yeah, no, it was fine. They were able to work with us through that, but I mean, you can really see the difference in the LPS, which is our college, the Liberal and Professional Studies. Is a really intense community of people who are just so vivacious. The faculty is unprecedentedly accessible. You know, any other educational experience, they really want to work with you, and it feels very egalitarian. And just the diversity of the background. You know, people who you know, are in the core studies came from different disciplines. People from the specialized studies have some life experience. And it really, it fosters a lot of creativity, I think, being in that intimate relationship.
And I think for me, that was one of the draws about coming to the Penn Post-Bac, right? Like, our classes are at max, I think, physics was 70 kids, and that was a maximum with, I think, a few, you know, outlying students. So I would say that's a big draw, not having to take an 800, you know, an 800 101 class with 800 other students.
Mm-hmm. Okay, thank you. And Anna Maria is asking how many come to the program right out of undergrad. I would say, Anne Marie, that is a minority of our students. So the majority of our students, either in the core or in the specialized program, have a little bit, you know, a year, 2 years, some 3, some even more than that, before they're coming to this program. We look for that in a lot of our applicants. It's not an absolute requirement, but we really do look for that. One of the things that we're looking for is maturity. We're looking for life experience. We're looking particularly for an undergrad. The question for us always is, well, what are you going to do differently than you did in your undergrad, so that we know that you're really ready for taking this next step and able to devote what you need to devote to have a really successful career here at Penn. Do either one of you have anything else to add to that?
I think you hit the nail on the head, yeah.
I think I'm really grateful for the 2 years that I had off, also because I used my experiences in those years as a litmus test for me to know that this was the right path I should be on, and I think that was really, really valuable, and I wouldn't have changed that.
And like I said before, for the specialized students, you know, coming in with a little bit of a different angle and perspective on life really helped us all, because we all share, you know, unique experiences in our courses. Like, I worked for a couple years in a pharmacy, and you know, that is particularly helpful in pharmacy, pharmacology classes. Yeah.
Okay, all right. Amelia's wondering if we support students applying to osteopathic schools. Yes, absolutely we do. So when I talk about our students being pre-med and applying to medical schools, I'm considering our osteopathic medical schools in that as well. About 60 to 65% of our students are applying to both allopathic schools and osteopathic schools. We do have some students who apply exclusively to allopathic schools and exclusively to osteopathic schools, but absolutely, we embrace and fully support students who are going the DO route. So the next question is about what student-run organizations are pre-health students involved in, and that's a perfect question for these two students that I have here, who actually are founders and leaders of a couple of student interest groups. Who wants to go first?
You can go first.
All right, I can do it, I think. There's a lot to say, actually. So I started a program called Penn Chime, and what we're doing is essentially to cultivate a better sense of cultural competence in general. And we're doing this through exploring healthcare in China and healthcare provision for Chinese American patient populations. and we are active in the community. We meet every week with high school students who are actually moved here from China, and they have like a range of proficiency with English language and American culture. And it's kind of like an exchange where we kind of help them with their presentation skills and cultural acclimation, and they teach us a little bit about their language and the culture that they're coming from. And this is culminating in a healthcare observationship in China, hopefully. But Penn has been extremely supportive. Like they want the student body to be active and to follow their passions, and this is kind of a whimsical thing to have started. It's not like I had a whole lot of, I was building it from the ground up, and they held our hand every step of the way.
Yeah, and I totally second that. I founded the Penn Future Women in Health Club. I mentioned it before. It's a division of the American Medical Women's Association, and I came to Jackie with the idea during my first fall in the program, and she was super supportive of it right from the beginning. We host roundtables, offer shadowing opportunities, community service events, panel discussions. We're having actually a CPR training with the American Heart Association this Friday. So that's been a wonderful process for us. We just won actually 2 awards nationally with AMWA. So Jackie was totally supportive of that right from the beginning, and our club has blossomed and gained recognition here, in Philly and then beyond. And then I also was on the founding board of the Social Justice and Medicine Club, which kind of in the same vein of Penn Chime, but hopes to bring opportunities to our students to realize who the patient populations are here in Philly and how we can help out and be exposed to cultures and people who are different than ourselves. And both of those have been extremely rewarding. But really, if you see a need and you want to fill that need, you can do that here at Penn. They want you to, exactly. They want you to be as active as you want to be.
Or if you, I'm sorry, I just wanted to add, or if you don't have the time to, start something from the ground up, like it's a very active student community, and you can just jump aboard whatever your interest is.
Yeah, you can email us, we'll add you to the email list, join our Facebook, our Instagram, come as often, as you want.
We have a very active student group called the Postback Society, which every single member of our student community is a member of the Postback Society. So under the umbrella of this umbrella organization, they do a lot of social events for the students. They do events sort of at midterms. We've had yoga classes and mindfulness meditation classes and things like that to try and work on achieving work-life balance. And these students come together and do service activities as well. They'll do meals through the guest chef program at Ronald McDonald House and so forth and so on. So there are many, many ways for students to engage. We just put up a new page on the website that kind of highlights some of the student interest groups. So if you have a minute, just go to the website and you can look through there and find what some of the other groups are that students are involved in. And I know that coming up this spring, we're actually working on a sports medicine group that's coming together to do something around sports medicine.
That's
so
awesome.
I think that's pretty exciting.
Yeah.
So, it's very fun to work with students who are very engaged, very excited about what they're doing, and if we can provide opportunities and provide support for a student to take leadership in these activities, we want to do it. I think that we all benefit from that.
Absolutely.
Charisma wants to know about the success of students matriculating to med school following postbac. So in the statistics, I don't have statistics from the current cycle yet because we still have students who are interviewing and getting offers of admission. But if you take a look also on our website, I posted a page that shows for the past 3 years where our students have been successful with admission. So for our core students, generally in the past cycle, 90% of core students who were first-time applicants to medical school received offers of admission. And for our specialized students, it was, I think it was 75 to 80%, somewhere in there. A number of 83 is coming to mind, but I haven't looked at that for a little while. That might be the two of them combined. So it's usually in the high 70s to about 80%. It can sometimes be a little bit lower for the specialized students because they may have a track record that they needed to improve. So they might, not have done as well as they wanted to academically in their undergraduate career. So they're coming here to really show how outstanding they are as a student. For our students who reapply, we support our students through a reapplication process as well. So for students who are reapplying, that rate of acceptance generally runs about 65%. And we actually had 2 students in this current cycle who were in their 3rd application round and both received offers of admission. So I think our students do very well. In part, that's because they're really a phenomenal student body. They work very hard, they're very focused, they're mature, and they rise to the challenges. So, and they take advice. So I think working with the advising team really helps, making sure that you're applying when you're actually a strong candidate. And that's what makes the difference in the outcome. Chris wants to know what percentage of students are career changers. So Chris, our students are about half and half. So about half core and about half specialized. It depends on the time of year, the number of students that are coming in. So we take in core students in the summer and core students in the fall, but not in January. And that has to do with many of the courses that they're taking are sequential. So it makes sense for them to start either in the summer or in the fall. And we see a higher number of specialized students actually coming in the fall. That's when we have our largest number of specialized students, and then also a smaller group of students coming in January. Tiffany's asking, what is the advantage of doing a pre-health program versus just taking classes after graduation? I have some opinions about that. You can do it that way, and there's no one right way to prepare yourself for a health career. But I'm going to bounce that to Diana. Do you want to, you have some ideas about that?
Yeah, so I think definitely having a community is something that you're not going to find if you're taking classes on your own. I think that's a big factor, and having the advising and the support of an actual advising team, a pre-health team dedicated to the students. I think also if you just take classes, you won't be able to maybe necessarily be involved with clubs or found clubs, and I think opportunities won't seem as readily available as coming from a centralized source. That's what I would say.
Yeah, definitely. When I made the decision to do post-bac coursework, I decided on an actual program because Penn, one of the things that they offer is a very comprehensive committee letter, which we're in the process of applying for right now, and it's very comprehensive. They are, your advocates. They really know you. It's just an excellent mentorship, excellent direction. You can get involved with clubs. You can. They get us in touch with research opportunities for anyone who is interested in research. They have, Penn is just the pinnacle of so many fields. I'm interested in like space medicine, and that's like a very niche specialty. And like one of the big players in that game is here, and I actually got to start working in his lab. So that was really exciting and something that I wouldn't have been able to do if I weren't a part of the post-bac program.
And I think something that you mentioned in terms of getting in touch with opportunities, basically, if there's an opportunity that comes through to our program, we automatically get an email sent out to all of the students with how to apply, where to send your application, who to talk to, who to email. And I think that's really unique. We're all on this big email chain for LPS, and that's really special.
Mm-hmm. So I really think, there are advantages to a structured, comprehensive program. There are some programs out there that are not quite as comprehensive as what we offer here at Penn, So, look around and see what's out there. I mean, certainly students will just take classes on their own. I know many, many, many years ago, when I was making a career change myself, I went back to school. I was working at night and I went to school during the day. And there wasn't any such thing as a comprehensive program for me. So I knew the courses I needed to take, and I did that, and went to graduate school then with my requirements in tow. So it really depends on what you're looking for. I think the advantages that you can get from advising, the peer support, the leveraging opportunities can make it really an outstanding experience, though. One of the folks in the audience is asking about whether or not we do a holistic application review. Absolutely, we do. It is really important, and we have been working together as a team in our admissions committee for quite a few years now, and it is a priority for me to continue examining how we are doing our admissions reviews. I like to think that I try to mirror as much as possible what medical school admission might look like in terms of the things that we consider, the things that we're looking for in our applicants. I think we're very successful in finding really committed students, and maybe even being able in sometimes, to take a C student and help them become that A student so that they can be successful. So, we look certainly to be able to increase access for as many students that we can, and holistic review helps us to be able to do that. Mariam wants to know something about housing options, and most of our students live in the University City area. We have also have for full-time students, there is on-campus housing. But do the two of you want to talk about housing and sort of life, like living in locally?
Yeah, so I was trying to make the decision whether or not to live close to campus in University City, as Jackie mentioned, or to live in Center City across the bridge. And I opted for University City because our classes are at night. It's nice to not have to travel really far to go home, although Center City is not very far. I live just a couple blocks away from campus, and I find that the convenience is awesome, and the fact that a lot of my friends live close by, so we all study together, we hang out, our events are all really close to campus, so I'd highly recommend living around campus if you can, although living across the bridge is great too.
Yeah, some of my classmates from the Philadelphia area actually do commute into the city. If you're thinking of doing that, I recommend spending some time in the city first and feeling out all the neighborhoods, because you can walk a few blocks and it feels like a completely different scene. And so I actually live across the bridge in Center City, and I walk to school every day, and it's not a bad walk. It's actually really nice to clear your head sometimes. And there's just, again, so much going on in the city. It's just thriving. Yeah, life in Philadelphia is good if you plan your housing right.
Great. Sarah says she submitted her application and wants to know how long it's going to take to hear a decision. It may be a little bit of a waiting period, Sarah, from the time that you actually submit a completed application. That application has to be reviewed, and there has to be a determination about whether or not you're invited for an interview. If you're invited for an interview, typically the turnaround time for a final decision would be about 2 weeks after your interview. I think many students are surprised that they hear even a little bit faster than that 2-week window, but we try from the time that we actually interview an applicant, we like to turn around that decision as quickly as we can. So as an admissions committee, we typically meet on once a week to get those decisions out. Amelia has a question about academic resources besides professors and other students are available for a student if and when they encounter difficulties. We're very fortunate that we do have resources available for our students here at University of Pennsylvania. We have a tutoring center, and what I started doing a couple of years ago is recruiting students from our student body who have taken our courses and been taught by our instructors to be trained by the tutoring center as tutors, and then they're actually hired by the tutoring center so that our pre-health students have sort of a group of hopefully readily available tutors to be able to help them. We recommend for students, particularly if you're very new to science or you've struggled with science in the past, that you avail yourself of these resources right at the very beginning before you find yourself in trouble when it might be more difficult or challenging for you to find a tutor at the time that you need one. So the tutoring center is there at no cost to you for students who need it. We also have a learning center for students who are returning to school after being out of school for a while. This is really good, sort of getting some tips and guidance on studying STEM curriculum. You know, it's very different from being an English major or a theater major or an economics major and then coming and starting to study the sciences. You have to learn some different study habits, different skills, different ways of approaching the subject. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, and I would also say something that I've really benefited from, also a free resource for all of the chemistry classes especially, and for physics, there are workshops and TA hours that are honestly so beneficial, and they're completely optional, so you don't have to go, but I always go, and you get extra problems and resources, and then you have another person that you can kind of field questions to when you have them outside of the professor's perspective, and that's, again, totally free. And at really convenient times also, they're willing to work and figure out when office hours should be.
Yeah, and I can't stress enough how accessible the faculty is and how welcoming they are to hearing concerns and actually working with you on the content that they're trying to share with you. We also have great mentors here for academic guidance as well as career planning, and I think you could probably speak more to CAPS than I know about.
So in terms of mentors, we actually have peer mentors too. So we try and link a new incoming student with someone who's already in the program, just so that you have a friendly face and can sort of begin to feel connected to the community. But it's a great place to turn to somebody and say, hey, where do I find this? Or how do I find out about that? So there are a wealth of information. But in addition to that, we have a great professional staff to help you with any kinds of issues, and we encourage students to come in and talk to us about whatever their needs are. And if a student has learning differences or any kind of a learning disability, we have a student disability office that has services available if a student needs accommodations. And then we also have a counseling center that students who are in the program are able to make use of those resources at any time that they're in need. So I think it's very important to sort of talk about whatever your needs are, whatever your concerns are with the people who are interviewing you for the program, and then also if you are in the program with your advising. That first advising appointment, second advising appointment, they're very important for you to sort of get plugged in and connected with what you need and beginning down the road to success in this program. There's a question up here on the board about, I plan on taking the MCAT prior to enrolling. Am I still eligible to apply? I think you'll find when you're looking at different post-bac programs that they have different criteria and requirements. We do require a standardized test for this program, but it is not the MCAT or the DAT. We like to look at your SAT, at your ACT. If you happen to have a GRE, we want you to submit the GRE as well. Some students, many students I would say, have taken their MCAT or their DAT before applying, and you need to submit those scores as well. So we'll look at all scores and evaluate those scores, but we don't want you to rush to take the MCAT just for application to this program. That's really not what we recommend. We recommend you wait, take that, and oftentimes I think students do better, particularly the specialized students, when they've gone through the coursework and the rigor of the coursework and analyzing scientific data and then prepare for the MCAT. They end up doing quite well. Admissions, Adriana, are rolling. We do have as I said, we admit core students into the fall and into the summer session. Right now, our deadline for the summer session application is April, I believe it's April 1st. And the deadline for the fall is July 1st. And Daphne has a question here. Will I have to provide SAT scores? It's been a while. And the answer is yes. If that's the standardized test score that you have, we need to see that standardized test score. Another thing that you can do, Daphne, is prepare for the GRE and take the GRE. So if it's been a while since you took your SAT score, and back when you were 17 years old, you weren't a real serious student, and you might want to have maybe a better chance with a standardized score having a better showing, then you might want to consider taking the GRE. But I wouldn't take it unless you prepare for it. So really prepare yourself for the exam. There's another question about retaking courses that I did well in. Absolutely not. We don't want you to that doesn't help you move forward at all. We don't want you to come into this program, retake courses that you've already had. We have students who are in the program who actually fall in between the specialized and the core. So maybe they had, 50% of their core courses and they're somewhere in the middle. We haven't come up with a perfect name to call this group of students, but they're following a very individualized plan, and it does not include repeating classes that they took and did well in. And Lewis is asking how many students have linked successfully to med schools in recent years. Almost all of them. So I have to explain, you can take a look, Lewis, on our website. There is a page that lists the linkage schools that we have. Linkage is a two-step process in this program. You have to nominate yourself and put yourself forward based on the criteria that we have. We have a workshop at the beginning of every semester, and determine that this is the right school for you. And then you're put through a series of interviews, and you have to answer some, essay questions for us. And if we feel you're a good fit for the program, then we put you forward to that school. So it really depends. We really have very few students who link, though, because most of our students who come into this program are applying broadly, even though we have phenomenal opportunities for linkage. And what is the reason for that? Well, some students may not want to have to take an MCAT in the middle of, midterms, depending on, what the requirements are for linkage. Some students may not want to narrow down their application to just one school. It really depends. And other students are very excited to link, and it makes perfect sense because of the path that they've taken, to get here, and they're really ready and very well prepared for med school. So that's a great conversation to have with an admissions interview. To figure out if there's a good fit for you with any of our linkages. And I'm waiting to see if there's another question coming up here. So I'm going to ask the two of you to be a little bit reflective and think about sort of what your perspective was when you first came in as a new student, and now that you're in the process of applying and on your way out the door, what's been the greatest growth experience that you've had during the time that you've been here?
The greatest growth experience. Well, I was actually just saying a little bit ago that when I started going into doing post-bac work, I kind of expected it to be just a continuation of undergrad, just to kind of like inflate my GPA a little bit. But it turned out to be a completely different experience. It's been so much more. That's actually another thing, another notch in favor of doing an actual program. Aside from having a certificate and having the structure to build a robust improvement to your application, there are workshops and lots of actual school specific activities that will help you move forward. And yeah, I was kind of, I would probably be floundering a little bit if it weren't for the direction. They really let you focus on what's important, follow your interests, and really guide you, keep you on the right path.
I would say for me, my biggest growth was just the learning curve of becoming a science student. I did business undergrad, as I mentioned, so I love math, and I actually majored in accounting and management, so quantitative and qualitative. But just coming into the program and being in a totally different field with a completely different mindset, I think that that is something that takes a while to just get used to and get in the groove of. And I think, like as Nick said, being in a program definitely helped with that. And I just came in wanting to experience every opportunity that I could and, say yes to everything that kind of comes your way. And I think I've done that here at Penn, and the opportunities have been endless for me to be able to say yes to. So that's definitely rang true for me.
Okay, thank you. Christina wants to know a little bit about linkage programs for specialized students. And Christina, if you take a look on the website, on the page that lists the linkage programs, you'll see that the majority of them are for the core students, but we do have 2 programs that are set up specifically for specialized students. So take a look at those. We also have some linkage programs for dental students as well. We don't have any for vets, although we work very, very closely with the vet school here. And our pre-vet students do very well with their application as well. So, and I'll just mention that I think we have 5 pre-vet students in this cycle and 5 pre-dental students in this cycle as well. So we're waiting for their results to come in. And Sabrina has a question about Canadian students and are U.S. students favored as applicants. So, Sabrina, we accept very few international students. So Canadian students, of course, are considered international students. The reason for that is because an international student needs to be a full-time student. And our core students are taking, very few of them are doing it in a year. There just are too many courses for them to fit in that time frame. But an international student definitely has to be a full-time student, which is at least 4 course units, and they have to move through the program in a certain time period, which is a year. So for those students who are international students, the better fit is in the specialized program. And we do have some students, we have had international students who have been core students in the past, but most of those who are international students tend to be our specialized students. So when you ask about whether or not U.S. Students are favored, I wouldn't really put it in terms of favoring students. It's just that it's more a complex program for an international student to be able to fit into the visa requirements within the time frame. Also, when you are an international student and you're looking at post-bac students or post-bac programs, you have to also begin to think about what your goal is if you're going to medical school. Are you seeking an opportunity to go to medical school in the United States? And you have to really explore what medical schools are accepting, international students, and what's going to be your best opportunity there, okay, because that is a high bar. It's very challenging for international students to be accepted to American medical schools. And we have another question that's coming up on the board now. Is it possible to finish the program probably in 1 year? So that depends on whether your core is specialized. So Nick, I believe you're doing your program in 1 year, and that specialized program is 8 course units, and you're taking, did you do 4 course units? And
so my that's another plus here. They really work with you to accommodate your schedule and help you meet your deadlines. If things are getting a little bit too much, you can shift things around. So I started in summer, which I recommend if you can, with 1 course, And then in fall, I took 4 courses. Right now, I'm taking 2 and working, and I'm taking 1 more in the summer. So a year, basically, yeah.
And for the core students, there is a possibility to do that if you start in the summer, but it really doesn't give you an opportunity to fit in a biochemistry course, which is a really good thing for you to have before you take that MCAT. So the majority of our core students are actually moving into 1.5 to 2 years to complete their coursework. What that does is, my perspective on that is that it gives you more time for leadership activities, for clinical activities, for research activities that actually you probably didn't have as an undergrad or before you came to this program, which actually will help to make you a stronger applicant. What do you think about that?
I think you don't want to feel rushed at any point in this process, right? Every single factor that goes into your application to medical school is really, really important. And to feel rushed or pressure trying to fit everything into a year, I think would be a mistake. And like Jackie said, missing out on all the other opportunities you have because you're trying to balance 3 classes at once with their labs, I think it would be a lot. So I highly recommend 1.5 to 2 years if you're doing core.
Okay. And there's a question from Kennedy about average class sizes for specialized. Some of our specialized classes are limited to 20 students, and others, there is one in particular that can go up to about 80 students, but it's one of the best courses taught by one of the best faculty members and always gets, rave reviews. So, but the average class size is usually about 25 to 30, is that right?
That's correct, yeah. For seminars, it can be about 15 to 20, and then for most of the other courses, the main specialized courses that you're going to want to go for, it's about 20, 30.
So what do you think about the selection of classes?
Selection of classes is great. They dovetail into each other very well. We have a range that is wide enough where we can take any prereqs that we need and then take advanced courses in our special interests. So whether you're into neurodegenerative diseases or pharmacology or whatever kind of specialty, you kind of go through the same basic upper level specialized courses, and then you can branch out. And I think it's really good to plan ahead because the classes really blend into each other really well, and you create a pretty robust understanding of the material. I recommend cell biology for the MCAT.
Even as a core student, though, you can take specialized classes if you want to. I already had all my course units that I needed, but I did find 2 classes that were interesting to me, so I took them, and I was really glad that I did.
And core classes are really on certain days a week, so I think what you want to do is you want to take a look at the course roster that is actually on the website, and I really encourage you to go to the website because there's a whole lot of information that we didn't really get to answer here. So I'm going to encourage you, if you still have some questions that we weren't able to answer, that you reach out to us via email, and we will do our best to get an answer to you as soon as we can. And I want to thank you very much for joining us this evening, and it was a real treat to have Nick and Diana here as well, and I'll let you say good night.
Good luck, guys. Thank you.
Good luck. Thanks for tuning in.